Welcome to this new how-to. In this how-to, I will show you how you can find stars and SIDs using Little Navmap. For those who are unaware of what stars and SIDs are standard instrumental departure routes, which are predefined and contain a route which you can add to your flight plan, I would say, to depart from a certain runway. And the stars are the terminal approach routes, and they will bring you to the approach. In some cases it includes the approach, but in some cases it's not, right? That there's no, I would say, golden rule if that's always the case, so you need to keep that in mind. In most cases what is meant by the start brings you close to the airport and it will end at the approach, and the approach section is a different route. But what I've seen with most of the stars is that it also includes the approach. So how can we find them? Well, the first thing you need to do is you of course need to start up a Little Navmap and make sure that the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 scenery is loaded. If you look at the video above, then you will find out how you can add that piece, and there's also another video which shows you how you can do it on a remote machine. So how to find the procedures? Well, let me zoom into, in this case we're on Edinburgh Airport, and when we right click on it and when we scroll down, we've got several options, and one of the options is to show procedures for. I already did that, that's why it's grayed out. So let me zoom out again, and then on the right side in the search window you will have the procedures. Zoom in again, and here you will have multiple procedures because it's set to all procedures. But if you are only interested in the departure procedures, you can simply select departure procedures and we'll show them by runway. So in this case SID 06 means runway 06, runway 12 and runway 24, and then we've got the different intersections. If you click on the arrow, you will be able to see, okay, hey, what's the course? So what other fixes do we visit? And also the restrictions which are in place, right? So if we would, for example, click on the first one, then we need to zoom out again to show you. It will start runway 06, and then it will go to the next waypoint or fix, which is Delta 068 Alpha. Then we'll go to Delta 051 Charlie, and when we zoom out a bit, it will continue here with the intercept course to fix, and then it will bring you to Golf Oscar Whiskey 35, and then so forth. Right? If this is not the departure route, then simply select another one until you found the one which you selected, or which you want to select. So you can see in this case Edinburgh has two SIDs which will bring you left and one right. Let me zoom out a bit further. But there's a difference between the two lefts, right? Because the first one which goes left goes really then, I would say, a little bit more south, while the other one goes up to the north. And the last one, which goes to the right, it will also bring you to the south. If you, for example, depart from runway 24, you need to select a different SID. So if you're happy with the SID, then you can select it, and then you can simply say, let me show it here, use EGPH and SID 24 as departure, and then it will be added to the flight plan, which is here. So you can see Edinburgh is the departure airport, and then we've got runway 24 and all the SIDs, or the SID and all the fixes which are, I would say, applicable to that. Eventually we land at Dundee, but this airport, it shouldn't be here, so let's delete it. And that's also the way how you can delete the likes the procedure, right? If you click delete here, it will delete the complete, in this case, SID. So the same thing can be done for the stars. So we can select arrival procedures, and here we see the stars and the approaches. So in this case it says stars all, which means that the star can be used for all runways, right? So again, we can expand it, and then we can look at the fixes which are included and also the restrictions. So if we would select this one and then would zoom out again, that means that we're coming from the north, then the star will start at VOR Papa Tango Hotel. That's where it starts, and that will bring you to Grice. Then there are some would say restrictions, right? You need to be above 7,000 feet, or sorry, you need to be at 7,000 feet, and the maximum speed is 250 knots. Then it will bring you to Uniform Whiskey, and then eventually it will bring you to Echo Delta November. So this is the star route which can be used in this scenario. Of course, depending on the runway which you're selecting, you might select a different one. But what you also could do is you use the star route for the initial, and then once you're coming close to the airport, you will, for example, swift to ILS. Because what you see here, and let me zoom into that, is that this one, it has a fix of a Uniform Whiskey and then Echo Delta November, but the ILS one for runway 06 starts at Uniform Whiskey, right? So the initial fix, let's try it. If we, for example, first add this one to the map or to the route, and then we can say we want to have the arrival at 06, and that's what you have with all the star alls. It will prompt you, okay, hey, what is the target runway you want to land, and then we can say insert approach, and then when we go to the right side, we see that it first adds the approach, and then followed by that at some other points, but to make it a little bit more clear, because I can imagine that it's hard to see, I will remove both of them and do it step by step. So initially I will add this star route, runway 06, that adds this piece. You can see Grice, Uniform Whiskey, Echo Delta November, and then the airport. And then when we want to use ILS 6, then transitioning to the full using Uniform Whiskey. So okay, insert it in the flight plan. You can see that it is really smart and it adds it to the flight plan almost directly. Keep in mind that it could result in indeed this behavior. So what it now has done is we're flying the approach, and then you can see it makes it shows the approach route, and then eventually it intercepts at CI 06, which is at 4,000 feet, and then once the glide scope is intercepted, and if you're using the autopilot, of course, it will follow that path. Can we also remove the star route? Yes, we can do that, and then only the, I would say, approach route is added, as you can see. So zoom in a little bit further, and then the approach route is simply only added, right, using these waypoints. So this is how you can add the waypoints. One thing is what you see is that it's orange, and then here it starts to be a different color, right? So keep that in mind. In some cases, if you do a missed approach, it will also is also added to the approach route to figure out, hey, what's going on. So this is how you can use Little Navmap. I think it's a very useful tool. It's very easy to use, and it uses the navigation or the maps or the scenery which has been installed on Flight Simulator 2020. So keep in mind that if you add some custom things, you might want to re-index it, or if another, let's say, version of the navmaps is being added, then you might need to update this. It goes really quick. If you don't know how to do it again, look at the other video I posted a while ago to see how you can add Flight Simulator 2020 sceneries to Little Navmap. Here ends this video. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions or comments, then feel free to post them in the comment box below the video. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.